everybody. Welcome to the So Now What podcast. We are on episode 5. Thank you for joining me. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. If you're new, welcome. My name is Carrie. I am in a little town just outside of Portland, Oregon. Today we're having fabulous weather. Right now we're in like stellar spring weather. Today's going to be in the mid 70s and it's wonderful. It's so wonderful. We have, in our area, we get a lot of rain over the fall and winter. So when spring comes and we start getting these beautiful days, man, we just are all over it. People come out of the woodwork. It's time to start shaving my legs again. It's that season. So it's a glorious day. I have my windows open, so you may hear an airplane or two going over. As a plane flies, I am about a mile from a small airport that we have in town. And it's an airport that only, it's so small, it's just like little propeller planes. But when it's nice weather like this, the air traffic is a little bit more, which doesn't bother me, but you may hear it in the background. So if it gets to be too bad, I'll have to close the windows. But right now I'm just enjoying the fresh air coming in. So anyway, my name's Carrie, if you're just joining me, and you can find me on social media on Instagram as Carrie_S, on Ravelry as Carrie S, and there is a Ravelry group for the So Now What podcast. We're a small group, but it's a nice group, and people have left such nice comments, both there and in the YouTube comments, and I appreciate it all so very much. It's helpful when I've asked a question about something I'm having a problem with knit-wise. It's encouraging to know that that you're watching, that I'm not just doing this for nothing. I enjoy doing it. I have to say, though, it does really keep me going on my knitting because I think I have to finish this so I can show this on the podcast. Doesn't necessarily mean that I accomplish a whole lot, but it's there, and I try. So I also want to give a thank you to Laura. She gave me a shout out on her audio podcast, and I thanked her on my last episode, but it ended up getting edited out because I was having video difficulties, and I didn't mean to do that. So Laura, thank you so much for the shout out. Her audio podcast is Knit, Pray, Love, and you can find it on Knit, Read, Pray. Goodness gracious. knitreadpray.podbean.com. She messed up on my name too, so I guess we're even, Laura. So thank you. It was really sweet that you mentioned me. And so anyway, for a good audio podcast about knitting and reading and praying, you go ahead and check her out. I always start my episodes with the quilt that I have on the wall. Sometimes they're my own quilts. Sometimes they're quilts that I've quilted for somebody. This happens to be my own quilt, and it's a very personal quilt for me. I had struggled due to some circumstances that I may share later in a different episode with just some issues of myself, of feeling that I was enough. That, am I a good enough wife? Am I a good enough mother? Am I a good enough friend? You know, I just was kind of feeling down about myself and not feeling like I was ever enough. And I was in therapy, which really helped. And while I was in therapy and trying to accept who I was, I guess, I got this brainstorm in the shower one day. And sometimes I'll get my brainstorms in the shower. Sometimes I get them when I'm just out on a walk. About trying to make like an affirmation, something that will affirm the goodness of myself. What you see here is really how I am. If you met me on the street, you met me in real life, this is how I am. I don't pretend to be anybody else. It's you know, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly. So so I wanted to have something that would remind me of the good things of myself. So I came up with words using what is it? My initials. So my initials are CLS, and I thought of 3 words using the 3 letters of my name that were positive and that described me. And so I came up with these words. I got in the computer and put them in different fonts, and then cut them out of fabric using a fusible. So I fused it on. I, just kind of moved things around, and this is really who I am. So here, I don't know if you can see it, but here it says I am, and then I'm all these things. So it hangs in my studio. I haven't shown a whole lot of people because it is very personal. The reason why I'm showing it is because I'm going to show, there's a video clip I'm going to put in here that will take you on a tour of my studio. And it's just something I filmed with my cell phone, and just kind of gives you a walkthrough of the space that I have here that I'm so lucky to have. And you will see it in there. And I thought I should kind of explain what that is, because you're going to see it. So the cat's out of the bag. I made this, oh gosh, several years ago. I don't even really remember when I made it. But when I'm feeling down or feeling low about myself, I look at it and I go, you're okay. You're okay. You're a good person. And I do really believe I'm a good person. And, but we all kind of struggle with that, I think, throughout our lives, and because of different circumstances that happen in our lives, whether it's something that happens to us as an adult or a child, or something somebody says or whatever. So I really try and lead my life with the knowledge that everybody has a story. And so if somebody's acting a particular way, or they seem particularly down, it's because of their story. Everybody has a story, everybody. And it's a matter of what you do with your life and how you choose to behave in your life, I think is the best way I can come up with saying it. And I try to stay positive. I don't fake it. There are days when I get down, and there are days when I just feel kind of crabby. And some of it could be menopausal. I don't know. But I don't use excuses. It just is what it is. But I'm generally a good person. I try and be a really good friend and a really good wife and mother. And but it doesn't always come easy. So anyway, that is my affirmation quilt that hangs up for me to see. So anyway, that's what you're going to see. So I'm going to go ahead. Phyllis had asked on the Ravelry group to see what my studio looked like. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that video here. And the lighting gets kind of hard sometimes because I get so much light from my windows. You'll see I have some really big windows in here that it was like trying to backlight it, and it was kind of hard to see. But you'll get the general idea of my space. So, so yeah, take a look. I wanted to give everybody a little tour of my quilting studio where I film the podcast. So I thought I would do just a quick tour. Phyllis had asked, what does it look like? So this is what it looks like. It's in a room upstairs that would be known as a bonus room or playroom. And so it's my bonus room, my playroom. This over here on the left, that gray wall, is where I normally hang a quilt. It's my design wall, which I will use when I'm putting together a quilt to see how things are working and auditioning. It's foam core board covered in gray acrylic felt, so fabric sticks to it. To the right of the doorway is my sewing space. This is where I do all my quilting and sewing things. It's like my little sewing corner. Pretty simple. An old machine that I got at an estate sale. I've got just some, you don't use those threads too much. It's more decorative. I took a couple of spice racks from the thrift store and painted them and put thread in them. So it's kind of cute. But the white cupboards have fabric, all my fabric scraps and things that are left over. I made this kitchen island sideboard thing that I got on Craigslist. I made that into my ironing board by putting a big board on top, covering it with fabric. Millie does sit in that dog bed when I'm sewing and looking out the window. I closed the blinds because it was too backlit and you couldn't see what I'm showing you. So those are quilt projects in the works. Those are in various stages, from just fabric to partially done to almost done. So, and patterns and things like that I have. On the other side of the room is the long arm side of the room. So that is the little work area that I worked in every day. when I did that as a business. That's a 12-foot machine. It's an A1. It's a 23-inch throated machine, which means it's 23 inches from the needle to the back of the machine. And this would be like if I was going to work, in air quotes. This is where I would go. This is just my little nook. Great lighting. Those are drawers full of thread. I got those at IKEA. I don't even know if they have them anymore because I got them quite a while ago. And I have them color coordinated with in basic colors. The top drawer is just junk, so I'm not going to open it. But I got lots of thread. Lots and lots of thread. Lots of green because it seems like you can never have the right color green. So Millie usually sits in this little old lady chair. I call it my old lady chair. It's a chair that I bought online from somebody, kind of a Craigslist thing. And it's like a wine colored velour chair, which just reminds me of like a little old lady's chair, but it is really comfortable. And my feet actually touch the floor really easily, and I will sit there with her sometimes and we'll just chill and look out the window, but it's mostly her chair. The hutch doesn't have much use to the bottom of it. I do use for some storage. So yeah, that's my space. That's it. This is my happy place. This is where I can come and just be relaxed and creative and have a quiet mind, and it's all good. So there you have it. And now we'll go back to the podcast. So what did you think? It's pretty cool, isn't it? I think it is. If I'm feeling anxious, if I'm feeling anything, I just come in here and it's just like, it's just sort of my happy, calming place. And it's awesome. It's pretty awesome. So I have been working on some things. I don't have any finished objects, and I really tried. I really tried to have a finished object. One of the things that I have been working on is the Meer shawl by Kristen from Voolenvine Yarns. And I joined the knit along, and today's the last day, and I'm not finished, and I really don't see that I'll be able to finish it today, but I am so close. So I want to show you how far I've gotten. You know, I would mess up on something like, you know, miss a yarn over, or I don't know, just do something wrong. And when you start to get really big, it takes a long time to take out like a couple rows, stitch by stitch. I'm taking it back because there's some shaping, and I felt like if I just ripped, I would lose where I was. And so stitch by stitch, you know, 300 and some stitches just takes a long time. So I would get all messed up. I found that this, when I would first start changing, oh gosh, how can I word this? You know, you're knitting along and you get this pattern going, you're like, okay, I can kind of do this mindlessly. And now we're doing something different. And if I was watching TV or something, I was getting too distracted, and that's where I would mess up. So we had started watching the series called Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm like, let's just check it out. It was on Netflix. The first season's on Netflix. And we really like it. But it's one that you got to watch. Because they'll show, like, he's texting something, so they'll show those words on the screen, and you got to watch it or you'll miss part of the conversation. So I was like, between doing that, I finally had to just put it away. It's like, if we're going to watch this, I can't knit. I have to knit on something I don't have to think about. But I made really good progress. So I'm at the point now of doing the applied border, which is the last part. So it's kind of hard to see because it's getting pretty big on the needles. So this is where the kind of mermaid tail part is. And now I'm going across and I'm doing the applied border. And that took a little bit of work. It was funny because I was reading the pattern, and one of the stitches was to knit through the back loop. And I read it like that. But every time I did it, I did a knit front and back. I was reading it right, but my brain just wasn't computing it right. And I kept doing that over and over again. I thought, how am I getting an extra stitch? I don't know. Let me read the pattern. Yes, I'm reading the pattern right, but my brain was stuck on doing it knit front and back. So it took several times of me trying and ripping it out before it dawned on me what I was doing wrong. So once I figured that out, it's going pretty smoothly. Not as hard as I thought it would be. I was a little bit intimidated and kind of afraid to start it, but it's going to be really pretty. So once I get it blocked, you'll see all the detail, and so I'm pretty happy with it. So I've only gotten that far on the applied border, and I've got that far to go. I've got a long ways to go. So as you can see, it's not going to get finished today, but I am going to finish it. And being part of the quilt along, the cow was making me stick with it and not pick up something else. I was really, really tempted to start a new project, and I just made myself stay with it because I was afraid if I got busy on something else, I wouldn't go back to it because I was so intimidated by what was coming up. And I'm really glad I stuck with it because it's going to be beautiful, and it's turning out, and it's making me really happy, but it's just going to take some time. So after today, you know, I'm not going to be eligible for whatever it is that you're eligible for with this cow, but it did make me stay with it and give me that push. So hopefully next time we do the podcast, I will have it done. I've been thinking of just doing it every 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since my last episode because as one person, you know, I can only do so much, and the weather is going to start getting nicer, and I'll be spending more time outside. And so I'm not going to have as much done. And, I want to make sure that what I'm offering you is, has some content. So I'm going to start with every 2 weeks. And I think Thursdays seem to be a good day to video. But if you subscribe, then you'll know when the next one's up. I'm going to really try and be really regular with it, but I want to make sure I have something to say. Otherwise, what's the point, right? So another thing that I was working on was my Hermione Everyday Socks, which is part of the Inside Number 23 Harry Potter cowl. And I'm not sure when that cowl ends, but I think I still have some time. Unfortunately, I don't even have a finished sock. I don't even have a hoe. I'm close. I'm super, super close. When you're having to take out 300 and some stitches on your shawl, it really eats up your time. So I'm shaping the toe. So here's the Hermione Everyday Sock. I was afraid you weren't going to see the texture with this highly colorful kind of confetti sock. Excuse me, but I think you can see it, and it's pretty cool. I was a little frustrated with it at first because I've only knitted vanilla socks, which are super easy. You don't have to think about it. You just knit, 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 and you just keep going around and till you get to a certain size or certain length, and then you start doing some shaping, and then you knit for a million stitches. This has just a tiny, tiny bit of texture in it, but it was enough that it was like I had to pay attention. I sometimes just really didn't feel like paying attention. I really wanted it to be completely mindless, and at first this wasn't mindless enough. I really wanted to do this on Magic Loop, didn't have the right needles, so I'm doing it on my Knitter's Pride double pointed needles, which are working out fine, but man, these are tiny. The socks I've made in the past, I don't even know the pattern I got. It was something I got a really long time ago, like Simple Socks or something. And it had you knit them with size 2 needles, which was a 2.75, I think, with 56 stitches. And that goes really fast, but they were always loose on me. And not really understanding too much about the anatomy of a sock and like how I can adjust it. I just kept knitting them like that. And so my socks are just kind of baggy. This is making a really nice fabric. This is 64 stitches on 2.25 millimeters, so size 1 US. And I do like the density of the fabric, and it fits my foot really well. But it's a lot more stitches and a lot tinier needles, so that kind of is a bummer. I Yeah, but I like it. This is a free pattern, Hermione Everyday Sock. It can be eligible for the Harry Potter cowl because it's a Hermione sock. I'm looking forward to knitting really a vanilla sock again, I think. And I've got some Knit Picks Felici yarn on order. It's back ordered, which is a striped yarn, and so that I feel like I can get away with doing a vanilla sock, and it will give me truly a mindless knitting. I'm almost done with this one. I can see where you can get the what is it, second sock syndrome, because I'm not really excited about starting the next sock. It could even be the yarn. I've always done my socks with self-striping yarn, so there's always this change as you go along. This has really beautiful colors, but there's not much change, and so I think part of my boredom of it is that it isn't changing enough. I did go into a yarn shop yesterday. I happened to have to go into Beaverton, and I went into a yarn shop to see if they had Hiya-Hiyas, and they only carried the Addies, and I really want to try the Hiya-Hiyas, so I'm still on the search for those because I really want to do Magic Loop. So anyway, those are my 2 whips. That's it. But now that I can kind of take a breath on the Wildesmeer shawl, and carefully so, because I don't want to leave it almost done and not finish it. I'm pretty good about finishing stuff. But there's a shawl that I've seen, and I've put it in my saves or my library or whatever on Ravelry. Like, I just love it. And part of what I love about it is it's shown in a gradient colorway. And I love things gradient. I love ombre. I love when things fade from one color to the next, or they fade from a really saturated color down to a faded color. I just love that. So this shawl, it's been around for a while. I bought the pattern. It's a paid for pattern called Dangling Conversation by Mindy Ross. It came out in 2013. She's actually doing a cowl, a knit along for this pattern. She's doing the cowl to have it be done in more warm weather yarn, cotton, linen, things like that. So I searched and searched and searched and couldn't find a gradient yarn that I liked in cotton. In fact, I didn't even find cotton that I liked, just the way it's twisted and stuff. I've never knitted with it, but it just didn't look like something I wanted to knit with. So I don't know that I can necessarily participate in the cowl, but I did find some yarn. I showed it on Instagram, so if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen it. And Lori, you're right, these are totally my colors. I mean, come on, you guys, look at that. This turquoise blue gets to more like an ocean blue, to a purpley blue, to purple, to this like pinky purple. It's going to be so amazing. This yarn's really soft. I got it online on the web yarns, which is yarn.com. And it's Wonderland yarns. I don't know how much that'll focus, but it's Wonderland yarns in Cheshire Cat. It's a sock fingering weight. You get 128 yards per skein. So you end up with 640 yards total, which is plenty to do this shawl with. It's 100% superwash merino. Okay, the camera stopped. So I try and watch the time, but I wasn't paying attention because I was blabbering. Anyway, back to this yarn. It's Color Morph Fuchsia to Turquoise Shadow. Very affordable. So there you have it. This yarn is, like I said, it's really soft. I think I'm going to do the colorway this way. So the pink and purple is closer to my base, and the blue will be down at the bottom. I mean, if anybody were to say what's a colorway for you, they should have just called it the Carrie colorway. It is really soft. So I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to start this, because I don't know if you can see in this picture, it has like, it looks like garter stitch. I'm not sure because I haven't read the pattern. And then you have like an eyelet row. And so what I'm planning on doing is with each of those sections changing colors. So it will give the illusion that it's just moving from one color to the next. So it'll be it'll be, and it's a light, airy shawl. I can't wear anything that's too heavy. Fingering weight is really a good weight for me because like worsted weight to me is just like, it's too heavy. I get too hot. You know, I suffer from personal summers, and those of you that are around 50-ish or my age will understand what that means. So oftentimes I can't wear all that. So I'm excited to start that. So I really want to get the Meer shawl finished. So I just know that that's done. Check that off my list and move on to this next one, which I think will be really fun. And from when I read on Ravelry, whenever I look at a pattern, I always look at what other people have done, and they show pictures and what their notes are. And it seems like it's a pretty easy pattern, and I've seen some really beautiful things. I've seen it even made with just a variegated yarn. And I was tempted to do that because I have some really pretty, oh, there's an airplane. Anyway, I have some really pretty yarn that I got at the yarn crawl that was like pink and gray, and I thought it would be really pretty in that. And I pulled that yarn out of the cupboard. I fondled it. I laid it out. It's like, oh, should I make it with that? And I thought I really, really like the gradient look of it. So I bought some new yarn. But it's so squishy and so pretty. I can't wait to do that. Another new thing I got, I watched the Grocery Girls podcast, which I'm sure most of you have heard of. And one of the things that I think it was Tracy showed was a little portable scale. And so I got this on Amazon, and I did not pay very much. I don't pay a whole lot for anything really. So yeah, it's a little scale because oftentimes I'm upstairs and I'm like, oh, how much of that ball do I have left? Is there enough on this ball or whatever? And now I can just weigh like a real simple little amount. I use my kitchen scale downstairs. It's like a Weight Watchers kitchen scale to weigh when I'm downstairs. But if I'm up here and I'm knitting, it's just nice to have something little. So that was a neat find. This one is just AWS. I really don't remember anything about it. There are several to choose from on Amazon. I like to buy things from Amazon. I buy a lot of things from Amazon because I get the free shipping. So so that was a new purchase, and I've already used it a couple times. So that's kind of cool. I love gadgets and stuff too. It's really bad. I love gadgets and notions and things. Another thing that came in the mail is I got the sock architecture book. This is good book. This is a really good reference book. I took the measurements of my foot, which I pretty much knew, but now when I look through different patterns, it gives me patterns for toe up, which I'd like to try. And so just knowing kind of like how your foot is. And I have really wide feet. My foot is almost as wide around, like the circumference of the widest part of my foot is almost as long as my foot is. It's always been fun to try and find shoes. And a couple summers ago, Jim and I did a pretty extensive backpacking trip. We backpacked across the state of Oregon pretty much, almost the whole state. We started in Crater Lake, which is down south. We wanted to start down by the border, but the year that we did it was some really bad wildfires, and so we couldn't start down that far. So we had to start at Crater Lake, and then we backpacked north on the Pacific Crest Trail all the way to the Oregon-Washington border. It was like 320 miles, and it took us 3 weeks to do it. And it was one of the most amazing things. Somebody's out on their motorcycle. See what happens when the sun comes out? We all just get out. Anyway, it was like 320 miles, and it took us 3 weeks. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic. It was hard. It was harder than hell. But it was wonderful. And after, I mean, my feet were already wide, but after that hike, they got wider, and they haven't really gone back. So, knowing the exact measurements of my foot, sorry, I sort of, see how my brain works? It's just everywhere. So, using this as a guide, I'll be able to get socks that fit better. And it's got some neat patterns and some simple patterns. And, so that's a good reference book that I got. I think really that was all that I got as far as new stuff. Try and keep it down. I had mentioned in the last episode that I've been making project bags for myself, but I'm going to start making some to put in my Etsy shop that I have. I've had an Etsy shop since 2010, I think, and it hasn't had anything in it in a really long time. So I am going to start putting some project bags in it. And I have been having so much fun making these project bags and putting together the different fabrics and coming up with it's just so fun. So anyway, I've got a few of them ready. They'll go up in the shop probably by the time I get this video uploaded to YouTube. They'll be in the shop. So the shop is So Now What, just like my podcast, and yeah, so you can check it out. So I'll show you what I've made. So this is one of the smaller ones. It's got little bicycles in, you know, orange, yellow, turquoise, white. It's got an orange zipper with a little charmed zipper pull. The inside is a gray print, and I've put some pockets in there. So I like having pockets in my bags because, you know, if you just need to put like a few stitch markers or your tape measure or whatever, it's always nice to have pockets. So I'm going to try and put pockets in most of them. I will make bags that I would buy. So you will find in my shop, my bags will be colorful and whimsical, and I make what I like. This is another one with bicycles. And so it's got a red and turquoise bike on that side and an orange and green bike on that side. This is kind of an orchid pinky purple color, and the zipper's about the same color. It too has a little charm on the zipper, and the inside is gray with pockets. I like my insides of my bags to be a light color. I find that it's easier to see stuff in it when it's lighter on the inside. So I will almost always have a lighter color. And then the last smaller bag I have, I swear this is one of my, I'm having a hard time letting this one go. This is a chartreuse green, black on the bottom. It says create on this side and dream on that side. Is that the most awesome fabric? I'm having so much fun with that fabric. This has a charm that says believe. This one I didn't put pockets in, but the inside is a black and white print. I love this bag. I so want to keep this, but I'm going to put it in the shop. So then I made a couple of larger bags using that same text fabric. This one says create and dream on that side and design and invent on that side with this beautiful turquoise color. Has a light blue tassel, white zipper, light blue on the inside, and pockets with a black and white print. So this is a bigger size. This is a good like shawl size. I don't know if a sweater could fit in it because I've never made a sweater. But it's the same size as this one that I have my shawl in. In fact, I think it's a little taller. So it's a good shawl size. Another one the same size I made with the sunglasses. So you've got all different kinds of sunglasses, a black and white polka dot on the bottom, a little black tassel, white zipper. The inside is a light crackle gray, and it's got pockets. So those are the 5 bags I have to put in the shop today. I'm going to continue making some more. I have some fabric on order that that I have to wait to get so that I can make more. I really, really like to make more of these. I have more of this fabric that if I strategically cut it, I can make more of these. I just think the graphic, I just love them. They're just awesome. So that's what I have so far. So check out my shop. Kind of keep watching it, I guess. I will probably post on Instagram when I have a shop update. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that. I think there's a way you can be notified on Etsy, but I don't know how to do that. So, yeah, maybe check that out. So, yeah, I hope you like the bags. Even let me know what you think. Am I on the right track with it? Does anybody else like them as much as I do? Because I love them. I want to keep them all. So anyway, that's just super fun. So that's really all I have today. Thank you again so much for sticking with me and hearing a little bit of my personal story. I think I might, give you a little bit every now and then, I guess, of who I am. I mean, if you're going to invest the time to sit and watch me, you might as well know who I am. And it is, things that I've done in my life and things that have happened in my life make me who I am. So enjoy. Hopefully you're having decent weather wherever you are, but just remember to be kind and spread love. Thanks again, you guys.